Emyr Jones from the Farmers Union of Wales, how concerned are you about the potential impact of these proposals to reform the Common Agricultural Policy due out in October?
Well, we are very concerned because we have been paid for the last 10 years on a historic payment, but now it's going to change over to an area-based payment, and we are concerned about the future of the family farms in Wales, and we are here today to make sure there is a future for those farmers, to make sure that the communities are alive, the farms are alive with young working farmers, and that's the future of the farms in Wales.
For those of us who aren't experts in farming, what does that actually mean in terms of the difference between the way the payments work now and how you think they may work in the future?
The payments now in Wales are based on the animals which we were keeping as farmers in 2000, 2001 and 2002. But the changes are going to come that we will be paid on an area-based payment, and every acre or hectare of land will be paid on a fixed amount of money. Obviously, not every acre of land is the same. You know, it's different right on the mountains to the land down in the valleys. So we want to make sure that there is a different payment on the land, the good land and the really poor land. It's not fair that there's a flat rate payment on every hectare of land in Wales. So we're fighting for flexibility really on the type of land that we are farming in Wales.
And how much of a difference financially would that make to Welsh farmers if they just received a flat rate payment, never mind the fact that, you know, they are farming in hilly or very difficult conditions?
Some farms would be losing up to 50% of their payment if it's an overall flat rate payment for every hectare of land in Wales. But we spoke to the 4 Welsh members of the European Parliament, and I'm glad to say they are working very closely together. They are very supportive of our views. We've also met representatives of the Agriculture Committee, and we even met the chairman, the Italian chairman, and he was also very supportive. I felt that he was one of us really, and we've had very great support here really, and I'm proud to be here to represent the farmers of Wales.
Now that is a huge amount that you've just said. 50% potentially some farmers could lose in their payments. What impact would that have on Welsh farming?
Well, it could be a really bad impact on those farms which will lose up to 50% of their payments. Those farmers are producing food, and food security is very important. Looking after the environment is also important, but food security has to be our priority. Those farms will lose up to 50% of their payments. Those farmers then, most obviously, will either go out of business or reduce the number of animals which they keep, and that in turn would reduce how much food that we produce as a nation.
I understand that you're also concerned about potential proposals regarding sort of the environment, the so-called greening, as people call it here, of the Common Agricultural Policy. Can you just explain in layman's terms what it actually is you're concerned about?
Well, we are afraid that for the last few years now, the balance has changed too much to the environmental side. You know, producing food is so important to the world really, because we know that by the year 2050 there will be 9 billion people in the world. At the moment there are 6 billion. How can we produce enough food for those extra 3 billion people? So the most important thing is food security, and we as farmers must be allowed to produce food, produce healthy food, because we know there is a market for our food, we know there's a market there for all types of food, and it's got to be more important now than it's ever been. But we also are looking after the environment, and in the last 20 years in Wales we've been in environmental schemes. Those schemes have improved our farms. We've built hedges, double fencing either side of the hedges, we've rebuilt stone walls, we put shelter belts in, planted trees, you know, and the farms now are very environmental friendly, if you like. But we've gone as much as we can down that environmental route. So now the priority has got to be to produce food, and we can do that in Wales easily with the weather we have, and we can produce healthy food for the customer.
We spoke to the Deputy Minister who's been out here in Brussels, and he was saying that, look, it's too early to speculate at this stage about the detail of these proposals. Do you feel that the Welsh Assembly Government is doing enough now to lobby on behalf of Welsh farmers?
Well, I'm very glad that the Deputy Minister, Alun Davies, is here at the same time as we are here. And we had a meeting with him on Monday, and he supports our views in the Farmers Union of Wales that food is a priority, that keeping family farms is so important for Wales, because there are many families in Wales that live in the countryside, and we want to make sure that our young farmers have a future. We don't want to lose the young farmers to the cities, and once they go and they won't come back. So we need to keep young farmers farming in the communities and in the valleys to make sure that there's a future for the farmers of Wales.
So what is it that you actually want? Are you trying to stop a cut in payments to farmers at all? Or is it more that you want to see it phased in over time? What is it in an ideal world that you want to see in these proposals?
We're accepting that over time the payments will be less, but we need a long transitional period so that we can adapt to the changes, and if possible we would like a transition period of between 7 and 10 years to adapt to the new changes. And I'm glad that Alun Davies is very supportive of that. He is working hard on behalf of the farmers of Wales. He knows how farms are you know, how we are looking after the environment, how we are producing food, and he understands our problems, and he is very supportive, and I'm so glad that he is here this week.
And if you don't get that long transition period, what does the picture look like for farming in Wales?
We don't want to see Wales being ranched, the farms looked after by just one person, and big farms, you know, going too big. You can't look after animals without plenty of people, because looking after animals is so important. Our animals are very close to our hearts, and what we want is healthy animals so that we can produce good food for our customer.
And how confident are you that you're going to be able to persuade people here in Brussels of that argument? You say you've had a positive response from your own MEPs and from the chair of the Agriculture Committee, but there are a lot of other people that will need persuading. How confident are you?
I'm reasonably confident, because there are other countries in Europe which are very similar to Wales. That's my hope. Because there are 27 countries in the European Parliament, and there are many of those countries which are farming quite similar to what we are farming in Wales. And after talking to the Italian chairman of the Agriculture Committee yesterday, I'm fairly confident that he is behind our type of farms, our type of farming, our type of communities. We've got to keep people in the countryside. We've got to keep the countryside alive with farming families there, and that's the way to keep our young people. We don't want to lose them to big cities like Brussels and London and wherever. We want to keep them farming, and that's what they want to do. I've been around many agriculture shows during the summer this year, and it's encouraging to see so many young farmers, you know, looking after animals, bringing animals to the show and competing with them. And once they get that feeling, the love for the animals, they will do the right job for the farmers in Wales.